We're closer now than we've ever been. It's 11:30. It's kind of cool. So I want to say thank you so much for everyone coming here. Welcome to this session called Learning to Listen, Making the Most of Mentoring. This session kind of came about after we did a mentoring session. We had a mentoring relationship for a bit, and we decided that this might actually be interesting for other people to hear about. So here we go. I'm Alexander. I'm the mentor.
And I'm Linda, the mentee. I am kind of new to BI, and I say yes to most things coming my way.
She does.
Otherwise, I surely wouldn't be here.
Good point.
And I often say yes to more things than I actually have time for. That personal trait, alongside an eager aspiration of learning new things and evolving, can be quite overwhelming.
So, from what you just heard her say, what would be a good method of mentoring Linda? Because, like just about everybody else, she has just given you quite a few hints, quite a few tips, without actually coming out and saying exactly that. So there are a few ways that you might do this. What about setting highly challenging goals? This might, for instance, be telling her that she needs to do a very difficult certification in a very short period of time. Or why don't we let her figure things out on her own? Essentially, setting her out on pasture, letting her graze and come up with things to ask when she needs to, generally keeping out of her way. Or should we instead schedule consistent follow-ups and essentially book time in the calendar to walk through where she is, where she's going, where do we need to go from here, essentially? I'm pretty sure that a lot of you think that there is an obvious answer to this question, and well, there might be, but then again, it might not. So hold that thought in your head, because I'm going to come back to this as we move through the session. So I'm Alexander. I have 25 years in IT. This is not white. This is data science gray. That's a whole different shade of color. I do data. It's so good to be able to finally say, yes, I do data, but no, I can't fix your printer. So databases, data stuff, all that is what I've been doing. I am a certified trainer. I'm a data platform MVP. And these days I work for a company called Atollo in Stockholm. I have the best title ever. I'm a principal solutions architect and nobody has a clue what I do. But it's kind of easy to explain though, because I make data matter. Because only data that matters can actually inspire change. And I do this by going all over the world speaking, I used to do that by going all over the world speaking at conferences. And then the world ended and I was stuck in my home office, just like everybody else. Well, not in my home office, but you get what I mean. So I also co-host a podcast called Native in Tech, and I highly recommend you to go listen to it.
And my name is Linda Torong, and I work as a business intelligence specialist. And at the same company as Alexander, but even though I'm the mentee, I was there first. And I got him to switch workplaces.
Which she still thinks is a good idea.
Yeah. The verdict is out. My background is very different from Alexander's. I come from retail and journalism, and more of a business side of view of things. And I try to tell people technical things in a non-technical way. I think that is a kind of important thing. I'm also a mother of 2, so I know everything about juggling impossible schedules and demands. So I fit right into BI. Okay, so know thyself. To start off a mentorship, you have to see it as going to a therapist. You have to be open and honest about who you are. Like any kind of relationship, you have to tell everything, because the other person cannot read your mind. Otherwise, it's a waste of both of your time. For the mentor to be able to help you and make a plan, you need to own up to the things that you might not be that proud of. But those are exactly the things that need to surface and maybe be manageable. Things like, are you a procrastinator? Or are you bad at taking feedback? Or do you suffer really badly from imposter syndrome? No one is perfect, but a brave person tries to work on the less great sides of them. But also inform the mentor about the things that make you tick. Do you grow with feedback? Or do you love helping others? So maybe start off with writing a list for yourself with things that might be of value for your mentor to know. Write down your strong features as well as the weak ones. You're not explicitly going to work on the weak spots, even though they need to be managed. The two of you are also going to emphasize on the strong features and build from there. Know your limitations. We all wish we had an abundance of time and possibilities. We don't. As well as being honest about our challenges at work, to build a mentorship, you need to be honest about things in your private life as well. Maybe it's your private life This is depending on if the two of you know each other from before or not. Do you, like me, have a family that takes a lot of your time? Or do you play soccer 5 nights a week? Or do you have a really hectic work schedule? If you explain this to your mentor, the two of you can set up a workable plan towards your goal. Your limitation can even be that you don't know about your limitations. I did not have a mentor as I transitioned into BI, but I highly recommend that you do. Because when you're totally new in a field, you really don't know what could actually be a limitation, or for that matter, a resource, until someone on the inside can actually help you and guide you in the right way. I would have needed someone to tell me that one of my limitations would be that I try to do everything for the customer, and everything that is technically possible shouldn't always be done. But since I come from customer service, I always want to do the customer satisfied. And we all know that in tech, that's not always giving them what they want.
Or need.
Or need. So you might be able to tell your mentor about the obvious limitations, if you know they are limitations. By telling your mentor a bit about yourself, you could guide to a smoother transition, for example. But enough about limitations. Let's get to the fun part. Consider your why. Why are you doing this? To gain a friend? Or to learn new things? Or to learn more about yourself? What's your goal? Is the mentorship a work hard thing? Or is it for a specific project? What's your expectations on the mentorship? Do you think that the mentor should have clear answers to everything? Or do you need someone to brainstorm with? Goals, goals, goals. If you have none, you'll achieve none. So I've had mentors at various points in my life and career with various results. For the most part, when they haven't been so successful, it's because we haven't established a clear goal. When me and Alexander started off our mentorship, we had a very specific goal, which was for me to participate as a speaker at New Stars of Data. And that made it all the more easier. But it doesn't have to require a project-specific goal to be successful. But the two of you need a way to measure the success rate of the mentorship.
So when I first came across the idea of taking on a mentee, that was many, many years ago, and that was a woman. It's the same with Linda. I had this amazing idea that I can just solve all her problems. I have 25 years of experience. I can tell you exactly when she's going to make a mistake. I'm going to tell you what kind of mistake she's going to make, and I can solve it. Yeah. There are a few issues with that, because it turns out that every mistake, every challenge has its own kind of solution. It has it's context bound essentially. And that means that just like a challenge with, let's say for instance, a parent, you're going to face the same issue as a parent. If you remove all the obstacles in the way of your child or your mentee, they're not going to learn. They're not going to learn squat. They might think they're learning. They might think they're going to be able to do things. But the only reason they are is because you're there in the middle. So problems, again, are context-bound and they might have multiple solutions. What's to say that my solution is the right solution? What's to say that my solution is even the best solution, even though my ego keeps saying that it is? Rumor has it that it's not. So, just as Linda said, know thyself. But that goes doubly as the mentor. Because just like teaching, and we're going to come back to this concept more than once, it's all about me being able to take a problem and reframe it. Look at it from another perspective. See all these things you've done, take all the technical knowledge you have and turn it into something that she can put in her frame of reference and thus internalize. I.e., I'm teaching the concept, I am not teaching the solution. And then we have this kind of boring stuff with preconceptions. And after this sort of rude awakening that no, it's not about me just going, yes dear, this is the solution to everything, which is 42. Everything has a reason. Everything you've been taught has a reason. Every challenge you've seen has a reason. It's all about internalizing knowledge. I keep coming back to this. I need to find a way to view the problem from the perspective of the mentee. I need to turn everything into something that she can figure out, because my experience is something that she doesn't have yet. There's quite a few years between those. And before she has the same vocabulary or same experience as I do, I need to figure out how to connect whatever I'm teaching to what she already knows. And this means that I need to help her overcome a lot of things that I might not even think about. That's where your preconceptions come in. Assumption is the mother of all, you know the rest. And I'm not supposed to say that on TV. But that's kind of it is. I cannot come in with my preconceptions and just do my thing, because that's not going to give her what she needs. It might sound cool, but at the end of the day, it's not going to work. So take your experience, all those years of experience, boil it down, whittle it down to the bare essentials, find the kernel, find the concept, and figure out how to teach the concept, and let her internalize that and use that as she goes forward. And just like, again, she said, know your why. I'd argue that as a mentor, you need to really do some introspection and think about your why. What I mean with that is, why are you doing it? Is it for fame and glory? Getting to stand here and going, yeah, I did this. Maybe. Am I trying to help a newbie get a foothold in the community? Maybe. Am I trying to curry favor with her or with someone else? I can see a few smiles and some scoffs, but that's the thing. As a mentor, I hold immense power over my mentee. She might not realize it. I might not realize it, but that's the case. And this power needs to be wielded extremely carefully. You're literally holding someone's life, if you will, in your hands. Act accordingly. Everybody wants to view all the mentors like these Zen-like creatures with only altruistic reasons for everything. That may or may not be the case, but definitely know why you're doing something. And of course, there's nothing wrong with using a mentorship. I mean, I can learn so much about myself. I can learn so much about her. I can learn so much about what we're talking about. So it's not just me giving.
Equal gain. This mentor you have is probably much more experienced in the field than you are. So it would be wise to listen to them. But of course, you have to listen to your gut as well, because if I would have taken every advice Alexander tried to give me, I would have landed on the moon by now. But really, this person is dedicating his time and effort to help you.
Indeed. And that's the thing. I am dedicated time and effort. That's true. But I'm also gaining at least as much as I'm giving. And that's the whole idea. It's supposed to be equal gain for both sides. I am not teaching the same thing, or I'm not learning the same thing as I'm teaching her. I'm learning something else, but I am definitely learning. And of course, this one is the most excellent rubber duck in history.
Be clear on expectations. It's hard enough to live up to your own undefined expectations. Add to that, trying to live up to someone else's undefined expectations. Like I said earlier, you have to be honest and open about everything. Just by doing so, some of your expectations will reveal themselves. After that, they should also be highlighted and preferably written down to you to go back to.
And as Linda said, knowing your limitations and prerequisites is essentially half the battle. Clear communication, that's how you figure out what needs to be done and where they need to go. And you might also find that some of the limitations that your mentee has, well, you might see them in the mirror as well, because we're not that unlike. So this kind of brings us back to the question at the beginning. What would be a good way of mentoring Linda?
Would it be to setting up a challenging goal?
Well, knowing her, she'd crush it. She'd absolutely crush it. Unfortunately, she would probably crush herself as well. So no, that's not a good choice.
So letting me figure things out on my own?
Sure. You do that pretty well. It might take a longer time than if I was there meddling again. But since there are no expectations, no clear expectations, you'd probably work yourself into the ground as well.
Yeah. So how about setting up consistent follow-ups?
Aha! That's my bet. She's extremely motivated. She's extremely capable. But she also needs to be kept in check a bit because she tends to run off. She needs to help with prioritizing, figuring out her timesheets, and how to say no.
That's true. So how do I, as a mentee, know which way is the best? Well, it's actually depending on how good you know yourself. And you have to figure something out as you go. That is okay. Bounce ideas off of your mentor to know which way to go.
And how do I know as a mentor what is the best way? Well, listen, use these. You have two of these and one of those. And there's a reason for that. So listen and apply your experience. What worked today might not work tomorrow. So be prepared to switch things up a bit if you're not getting to your mentee. So in summary?
Yeah. Listen before you act. This is how a one-way monologue turns into a two-way mentoring partnership. Know both of your why. We must both know why we are in this mentoring partnership, and we must both know why the other one is as well. And communication is key. We all know this, but we tend to forget about it. Common sense doesn't work. Communication does.
True.
Yeah, mentoring is a two-way street.
It is. The mentor is not only giving, and the mentee is not only receiving.
Mentoring is as much as listening as you are talking.
And the mentor should really learn as much as he's giving or teaching.
Yeah, and mentoring is about learning together and individually.
We're probably going to learn a lot about each other, whatever we're talking about, and ourselves.
Mentoring is daring to venture outside of your comfort zone. What's out of your comfort zone?
Well, that's where personal growth, true personal growth lies.
My name is Linda.
I'm Alexander. Thank you so much for your time.